Hey there guys, this is Dan here with GrapevineRecording, and in this video I'm going to be showing you how to configure your Kontakt 5 player so you can use multiple outputs into your DAW. My DAW today is going to be Logic, but this setup pretty much works in any DAW that you would use. The reason you might want to do this is, of course, if you are like me, and the main reason that I use Kontakt is for some of the amazing drum samplers that are in there. So, for example, in this one, I'm going to be using the Abbey Road 80s drummer, and as you can see in this library, what you get is a drum kit, loads of different grooves, loads of different kit pieces, and you get a mixer. And in this mixer, as standard, everything's kind of set up to output out of the main output channel. And the main output channel is this up here, which is what you set it. Don't worry, I'm going to go right back to the beginning in a minute. I'm just going to show you how it's originally set up and then how you modify it so it works how you want it to work. So pretty much what we're going to be doing is adjusting the output parameters of Kontakt and setting up Logic in a way that it'll be able to see what the output parameters are and then map it into Logic. So as you can see in here now, if I push play, I have multiple channels that I've set up. These are all auxiliary channels, and each of them, their input to this channel is an output out of Kontakt. Okay, if that makes sense. So I've now got a channel for me kick, me snare, me hi-hat, toms, overheads, rooms, all of that good stuff. And because of this, I am able to process, for example, the kick with all kinds of plugins, and I can do that differently, so otherwise, the way it's originally set up, if it all comes out of the main stereo channel, you can only affect everything. You can affect the main stereo channel, or you can use the effects that are built in within Kontakt, which are pretty awesome, I'm not going to lie, but this just gives you a hell of a lot more control, if that makes sense. So what we're going to do, we're pretty much going to delete everything. So we'll get all of them deleted. We'll get not all of them, we want that to that. Delete that, delete anyway. We're back to pretty much a normal session now. I've just got a drummer track. This drummer track is just going to be triggering Kontakt. Just so I can set it all up once again, what I'm going to do is open up the browser. I'm going to get rid of the Abbey Road drums, and I will use Studio Drummer Session Light Kit. Doesn't really matter, it's just all it's going to be doing is triggering samples. So it all pretty much relies on what this output section is doing. Okay, and as you'll notice when you open up Kontakt, it won't look like this. So what you want to do is there's loads of different ways that you can do it actually, but you can just pretty much go through everything and then delete it. Like that. Just go select the channel, delete, select the channel, delete. That'll take ages. What you want to do, you'll probably have a couple of stereo channels and a 5.1 channel, and then your auxiliaries at the end. That's pretty much how it's set up normally. Remember, to get this to work, you need to open up Kontakt in multi-output mode. It pretty much doesn't matter which configuration that you use because you're going to change it anyway. You get 16 outputs, I believe, or 17 outputs. I think it's 16. So what I'm going to do is, if you go on add channels, the way I'm going to configure mine is I'm going to have 4 stereo channels and 8 mono channels. Okay, so that's going to give me 16 channels overall. So for this, I want to create 4. And then when it says number of channels is 2, obviously means stereo. And then in this sound card and host options, what you want to do is select it from stereo 1. So as you see there, it's stereo 1 left, stereo 1 right, stereo 2 left, stereo 2 right. And don't worry about this. So what you want to do is you want to go stereo 1, click that, and then go ascending output assignment. So that'll then put, 1 to 1, 2 to 2, 3 to 3. And then what I'm going to do is go and delete existing channels. So that's why I was saying you could go through and delete them all, but this is just a quick way of doing it. So you'll do that, click on OK, boop, and now it's just created 4 stereo channels. You with me so far? Good. So now what we're going to do, so we've used up the first 8 channels of Kontakt in there. Now what we're going to do is create 8 mono channels. So we'll go add channels again. We want to go to 8, but we want this to be 1. So now what we'll do is we'll count through. So because we've used up 8 channels down here, you'll go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So that's the 8 channels. So we want 9 and above. So we'll go surround 5.1 number 5. Click on you. Ascend in order once again. We don't have to delete the previous channels because we still want them. And we go on OK. So now we've got stereo 1, 2, 3, 4, which are going to be using output 1 and 2, 3 and 4, 5, 6, 7 and 8. And then what we've got is 8 mono channels after that, which are going to be using 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. Okay. We're nearly there. What you now would want to do is, it's a good idea just to save a little preset. So I'm just going to go there and call it drums preset. Okay. Good. We're there so far. We're doing well. For this to all to work, because what we want to do now is in the mixer page, we want the kick to output out of a specific output. Okay. So for that to work, what we're going to do is rename some of these. So we want monitor 5, or which will be the first mono channel, to be kick. Then we'll go snare. And I'm just going to fast forward. Okay. So we're back. What I've done now is just I've renamed all of these outputs. So overhead, room, percussion, kick, snare, hat, tom 1, tom 2, tom 3, tom 4, and then the mono room channel. I've pretty much just looked up here and figured out that I can split, the tambourines into just a straight percussion channel, just to make life a little bit easier for us. So now what you'll notice here under output, and this is the whole reason why I'm making this video, is because this is the thing that confused me for so long, is under output, it'll still be on your one. What it'll do, it won't have changed these names. It's changed it on this just because I saved it. But what you want to do is either save the preset again, or see this little button at the top, this little exclamation mark. What that does is effectively reloads Kontakt. And for this entire thing to work, you've got to make that, you've got to reset Kontakt so it can read the new output assignments. That was the one thing I was stuck on for seriously ages. And I'd watched loads and loads of videos and I kind of skipped over that and I didn't quite get it. So pretty much if you take nothing else from this video, take that bit. Click the little exclamation mark, which will reboot Kontakt, and then it can read all your outputs. So yeah. So what we do now is where the kick is here, we want to change that output to kick. Go to snare, and all this is doing is just routing these from this mixer out of these outputs. So we do that, hat, tom 1. Right, so now what we want to do is to be able to get them output into our Logic mixer. And what we able to do to get this working is see this little plus. If you open up the mixer page by pushing X or this little mixer icon at the top, you click the pluses and that creates a load of auxiliary channels. Effectively, you can just keep clicking on them to your heart's content, and you just keep going. It'll make the maximum amount that can be made for that instance of Logic. So now what we're going to do is if we push play, you'll start seeing that these faders, like on the level meters, will start getting some signal. Okay, does that make sense? So just as a quick recap, what we're doing now is within Kontakt, we've configured that mixer to route all of the respective signal out of an output. We've now created a load of outputs of Kontakt, name them, give them an output number, and now what this has done, what Logic's done, is created a load of auxiliary channels which are going to be looking at these outputs. Okay? If that doesn't make sense, you might want to go back a little bit in the video and just kind of keep going through that process of creating output channels and assigning output channels, because believe me, it makes your life a hell of a lot easier if you understand it. Believe me. So now, what we can do is we have to use our ears a little bit and go through and go, aux 9. That sounds like a kick drum to me. So we've got to go through that, change it to kick. blah, 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 snare, hi-hat, go all the way through it and just rename it. Gets a little bit difficult when you've got to try and listen to the difference between room mics and overhead mics and whether it's a stereo room mic or a mono room mic. That gets a little bit iffy, don't get me wrong. But if we solo this, there's nothing going through that one. So that sounds like overheads. Of course, what you've got to pay attention to as well is that some of the grooves and things like that actually don't use a lot of the stuff that we've set up. For example, you know, this groove might not use tom 4 or tom 3, for example, or any of the toms. All depends. What you've got to do is just kind of path find and pretty much follow it as it goes. The good thing is with drummer, this is the reason why I use drummer for it, is that you can grab it and go, actually, I just want toms, and then you can listen. So you go tom 3, go back to your mixer. There's your toms. You know what I mean? So it's good just to go through it. The whole reason why I've done this, by the way, guys, is this is how I like to work. I like to be able to experiment with different not drum mic techniques, but drum mixing techniques. And what you can do is once you've set all this up, this is the best thing about it, is you can go File, Save as Template. Save that as your template. So whenever you open up Logic, you can just open this and it's all done. You do it once and you never have to do it again. So it might seem a little bit of a pain, but as I say, you do it once. You can save your preset within Kontakt. You can save your template within Logic, and you're good to go. The good thing is with Drummer, as I say, is you can change the different configurations. You know, you can change styles, you can change sounds based by, you know, what instrument you've got loaded in. If you haven't got Kontakt, if you haven't got Superior Drummer, use the Abbey Road stuff. You know, there's a lot of good standard sample libraries within Kontakt. There's loads of free stuff out there you can get. If you don't want to if you don't want to go and get this type of thing, there are loads of other alternatives which can help you mix better. And to me, as someone who's a songwriter, I just want to be able to get up quickly, you know, and the engineer in me likes to see all these channels for drums, so I get so much control over it instead of just louder or quieter. Okay, so hopefully that has helped. I know that I was struggling with this for a hell of a long time, and now I feel as if I've got my head around it and I was able to create a video to try and explain it in its most simple sense. Of course, there are probably places which will just say, click this button, do that, do this, that's it, done. But I think it's really important to understand the signal flow, because when you start understanding the signal flow of it all, you can alter it, you can change it, you can make subtle changes, you can start, you know, whether you want, I don't know, you want all your toms to come through on a stereo instead of just, you know, 1, 2, 3, 4. You can now adjust the output assignments within Kontakt to do that. You know, you can do all this stuff now. So that's my thing, is I want to start hopefully educating you in the way of like why you do stuff like that. And once you've grasped that, you can then change it to whatever way you want to do it. So yeah, this has been Dan with GrapevineRecording. Hopefully that helped you all out. Thank you all for watching, and I'll see you all next time. Bye bye.